Welcome back to another video here on the ON1 Photos channel. Today, we're going to take a look at ON1 Photo RAW 2022. Now, if you haven't picked up a copy of this, go ahead and check the description box down below. I have an affiliate link. If you decide to purchase, I ask that you do use the link. It helps this channel continue to grow, and it's at no extra cost to you. So if that's something you're interested in, check the description box below, and don't forget to sign up for my email list. All right, so before we dive into the computer, I do want to give a disclaimer. I am not going to use the no noise AI, and this is going to be a video that's really centered around the first impressions, the first looks, and seeing what's inside of ON1 Photo RAW 2022. I will give some suggestions on how you can implement this in your workflow, and if this is a good use case. There's going to be timestamps down at the bottom of the video and in the description box, so please use those if that's something that you're interested in and you just want to go to a very specific topic. But if you are ready to dive into the computer, let's go. All right, so here we are inside of the computer, and we are looking at the photos from the paint mines, and no issues with getting the catalog to open. As soon as I opened up ON1 Photo RAW 2022, it just worked out perfectly fine. So first up, let's go ahead and take a look at the whole thumbnail thing, right? So what you're gonna do is right click, and then up at the very top, it's barely on my screen, we're gonna click the thing that says thumbnail view options. This is gonna bring up a little dialog box, and depending on what it is that you want to be able to do with your thumbnails, you can choose a few different options here. First one is going to be the size of the thumbnails, or the appearance of the little icons up here at the top. They're either going to be small or they'll be a little bit larger or normal. Now, mind you, this is on a very small laptop screen, so the aspect ratio is going to be smaller than normal, but maybe that'll be significant. The other thing that you can do is you can choose fill, and it makes like these little squares. So if you're into this, then maybe that works. I personally don't care for this style of viewing my thumbnails, so I'm going to leave it on fit. That's how I like to see it. And then of course you can go with a dark or a light theme. Now this is the information behind the images. So if you're shooting a lot of dark images, maybe you do want the light background. And if you're shooting a bunch of lighter images, then maybe the dark theme is better. Now, what's cool here is inside of the labels, you can actually change some of this information. You can see that I have stars over here on the left. Ratings and label is what that's called. But in this drop down, there's a few options, right? I can go with none, and then that just gets rid of the stars or the ratings and label. You can go with the file name, which I have at the bottom, but it's whatever you want to do, right? I'm going to go back to ratings and label. And then, of course, on the right-hand side, you can go with an extension, which extensions just let you know what file types these are. Maybe that's helpful, maybe it's not. This is whatever you want it to be. All right, I personally like to leave it at the like. And then of course the bottom, I like to put the file name. Just lets me know what I'm looking at, and that can be on mouse over. Now you can choose if you want a more clean background. You can put all of these at none, and then it'll show nothing, and that's fine. Or you can make it as a mouse over. It's not going to work because I'm inside of this window, but I think you kind of get the gist of what's going on there. But I like the file names to stay up. This is my personal preference. Make your own. Now, what you can do is show rotate arrows. That's going to be down at the bottom, self-explanatory. You can rotate the image, and then show edit badges. You have options here. I'm not going to go into detail on what you can do. I think it makes pretty good sense. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to take a look at is a line masking tool. So let's find an image. Doesn't really matter which one it is. We'll go with this one. Why not? Let's go ahead and open up this image. And what you're going to do I have not played around with this line masking tool a whole lot. But what you're going to do is you can either come over into the effects tab, you can click on a filter, we'll throw in a curves filter, and we'll make an adjustment. Maybe we'll do something. We'll just do a simple S curve. And no, they did not add in a feature to get rid of nodes on the curve. It would be nice if they did, but they didn't. All right, so the next thing that you're going to do, you can hit the letter B. This is going to bring up your masking tool. In the top menu bar, or toolbar if you will, you can click on the last icon, or the icon to the right of the AI masking brush, and that gives you your line masking tool. You have a few options here. You have paint in, paint out. That's self-explanatory. I think we all know what that is. Then you have your opacity, feather, and then you can delete the mask as necessary. So I'm going to try and mask around this particular little leaf. So in fact, I'm going to zoom in, because I recommend if you're going to do something that's small, you just zoom in. Let me grab the zoom tool, and I don't know why it won't let me navigate. This computer is not very helpful sometimes. Let's go back to our mask. See if it'll let me click and drag now. No, it will not. Okay. Let's try this one more time. We'll just go like that. All right, this isn't going to be a perfect mask. This is really just to demonstrate. I will do a better tutorial on this particular feature as I use it more. So first thing I'm going to do is make a point, and then I'm not clicking and dragging. All I'm doing is clicking one time, and what it's doing is wherever I move my mouse, it just makes a straight line. Now, don't worry so much about the straight line right now. We'll come back and fix those later. So I'm going to click there, and then I think the next point should probably be somewhere around here, and you can go however you want with your own masking tool. All right, you're going to see that it's important to have a feather all the way up, or a feather, because if you don't, then you're not going to get a very nice transition. It's going to look very obvious that you made the cut. I'm not getting the tip of this because I just want to show you what this looks like when you make your mask and you go around like so. So just bear with me as I make these options. And if you've noticed, I have made some points that go over portions of the leaf that should be curved, but that's going to be okay, because we're going to be able to curve this in a little bit. Okay, so we'll go like that. All right, so now I'm at the end of making this. Now, before I click anywhere else, what I want to do is adjust this particular mask. So I'm going to hover over this. When you see the little dot in the center of your nodes, what you're going to do is click, and then you're going to drag that out. All right, you can pull it to the left. I guess this will be my left. Got to know the difference between those. And now that's where that piece is going to be. And then do the same thing here. You have to go to the middle. It's going to bring up a little dot, and then you'll be able to click and drag to the place that you want it to be. Now, you're not able to throw in some additional nodes while you're doing this, or at least I haven't been able to find that the way of doing that. Now, I accidentally clicked in there. It went ahead and applied my, let's go ahead and zoom out. It applied my adjustment to the outside of the image, but I'm going to go ahead and hit done. and show you the inverse of this. So we're going to invert this, and now it's on the leaf. So if I were to come down here and make some crazy adjustments, you can see it's only affecting the leaf, made a little bit more of a precise mask. So more to follow on that as I continue to test it out. Now we are going to try something that I hope this photo is going to be an easy one, and that is the sky swap AI. So I'm just going to hit AI auto because I think that the photo should probably be developed a little bit to build some contrast. Hopefully, maybe we'll try it. I'm going to hit sky, and it's going to start to analyze the photo so it can figure out where the sky is actually at. This one should be fairly easy just because the sky is mostly blue, or it is blue. We're going to go ahead and hit sunset. Let's see what happens with this preset. Okay, so let's hit O and take a look at the mask. And as you can see, it got the sky a little bit over the rock here. It's completely not picking up these little weeds over here. And maybe that'll be something easier to clean up. But for the most part, it does a fairly decent job. Now, there is an orange tint, which is coming from the lighting, the relighting aspect. Maybe we need to play around with the distance. I have not played around with this. So please forgive my ignorance with this a little bit. But so this lighting tint it's showing up and it's doing all right, but usually it's not going to show up on your image. I'm not 100% sure this matches with the light just because I know the sun is behind the camera, so it's actually shining directly on this rock, and this sky doesn't quite match up. So be careful with your sky swaps. Let's try clouds. Let's see if that. So this looks very Photoshoppy, right? It looks like someone just popped on a quick little cloud thing, and so definitely something worth playing around with. I think as I practice with this a little bit more and figure out how each of these sliders work, I think it'll be worthwhile. I know that this just flips it, so more to follow on how this could be used. Let me know in the comment section if this is something that you plan on using, and if you have ON1 Photo RAW 2022, if this is something that you are using and you're super excited for, or if this is something that you would be excited for. Now, what is cool about this is you get access to the mask. Now, I don't know about you, but there are some applications or some uses where I would want to have access to the mask, and I think this will be a great opportunity. So we'll see moving forward and into the future. I'm gonna hit cancel on that because I don't actually like that. All right, so the next option we're gonna look at is actually something that I'm really excited about, and this is the ability to use Photoshop plugins native to ON1 Photo RAW. Now, unfortunately, this takes a ton of computing power, and my poor little computer cannot keep up. So I'm just going to show you the results of me using Luminar AI, and then I'm also going to show you how to install Luminar AI if you run into some issues when you're trying to get the filter. So this is the image that I did process, and I'll go ahead and turn off the version that I sent to Luminar AI. And I just used a preset in Luminar AI and then brought it back. But here's how it works. You'll open up your image and you'll click on Layer, and then come all the way down to filters, and then it'll start to look through your folder wherever you have your plugin stored. And then you'll click on Skyloom software or hover over it. And then as you can see, I have both Luminar 4 and Luminar AI. I know that Luminar AI works because the computer is moving so slow. I did not decide to choose. I know that Luminar AI works. However, I did not try Luminar 4. So I imagine it'll work the same. But when it does actually come up, then you'll go into your software, you'll make your edits, and then in Luminar AI, you click apply. I think every piece of software is going to have a different button that will get you back here. But essentially, you want to click whatever it is to advance you right back into ON1 Photo RAW. And it works just like it would work with with Photoshop, where you get a layer and then you get access to edit this layer however you would like to. One of the ways is maybe going into the local and then doing some dodging and burning. You have access to the layer mask here, and you can do things with the layer mask there. You can blend it. So if you're like, oh, that was a little too strong, I'm going to just go ahead and grab this layer, bring down the opacity. You have all the options that you would be used to, as well as with the local adjustment tool here. You can go in and use the paint width and then use one of these color brushes or style brushes. All the options that you would expect to be able to do. So not going to belabor that. All right. Now I'm going to hit cancel. Yep, I know. And it does turn this into an ON1 photo file. So as you can see, you have the ON1 photo file. Now we're going to try out the export feature. I have selected the photos that I exported previously, and what I want to do now is try the new export feature. So I'm going to click here, select all of these, and I am going to hit export. I have not looked at what is going on in this window, so this is going to be a little bit of discovery learning, but let's find out. So I am going to hit the naming, click on it, and it looks like we can just name this whatever we want. So I'm going to label this portfolio photos. All right. What is add token? Okay. So the add token feature, it allows you to add more information to your file as it is being exported. So I like to add in a sequence number, and there's not enough to really make this any more than sequence number and then start with a single digit one. Or actually, I'll change it to a sequence number where it's 0, 1, and then we'll keep going. All right, so that's good enough for that. I really like that option there. And then we're going to choose the destination folder. Let's go ahead and click choose. And I want to save this on the mobile drive. And then I am going to go to JPEGs. And I have portfolio images. This is the folder that I want to save it to. Okay. You can save wherever you would normally save. And inside of this folder, I think I am going to, I'm not going to make a subfolder this time. And we'll go ahead and hit, do we want to generate a subfolder? No, because you can make a subfolder, it looks like, and you can add in all these tokens, but I don't want to do that. That could be helpful. That could be very, very helpful. Let's see. After export, you can create a zip archive, and that could be helpful because if you have to back up your photos, maybe you do want to zip the archive. I don't really care for it to open anything, and I don't want to run a script. I think all of that is good to go. Now we get down to the file type. let's go ahead and click on file type here, and I'm going to choose JPEG because that's what I wanted to do, and it can be a 90% one right there. So I think that will be fine. And then we'll click on, and we'll leave that alone actually. Okay. And then I'm going to hit save preset, and we'll call this portfolio 90 or portfolio full res. Okay, we'll hit save, and it pops up over here on the left hand side. Now what I want to do is change this from all of that, and in fact I'm going to click on create a zip, and then I'm going to choose a new folder, and inside of JPEGs I'm going to make a folder, and this one is going to be called portfolio zip. Hit OK, and then we'll go ahead and select that folder, and then portfolio photos dash zip. I think that's what I want to make that. We'll name it that, and these ones will make 100%, and this just gives me an archive, and we're going to test this out. Then we're going to save this preset, and we're going to label this portfolio zip. Hit save again. The settings for preset portfolio full res have changed. Do you want to save them? I'm going to go with no. And let's make sure that, yep, that one's fine and that one's fine. Okay, so we want it no. And the last thing that I'm going to do here, because all of these are CR3 files for the most part, I want to make a digital negative one. So I'm going to call these DNG, or DN. We'll just call it DN. You can call it whatever you want. And then we are going to choose another folder here. We'll go back to JPEGs. And this file location could probably be anywhere. I'm going to call this DNGs, even though those are not JPEGs, but we're going to leave it alone. And then I'm going to also save this as a preset, or first I need to change this to DNG, which then you don't need to choose the quality, and I want the metadata to be saved with this. I don't think any of that really matters there, or it does matter, but and we'll leave all of that alone. These can be archived into a zip folder, but I'm not going to do that this time. So I think we are going to be fine. Yes, yes. Let's go ahead and save this one. This one is going to be DNG export, save, and no. So now I should have three options here. I have the DNG export, and then I have portfolio full res and portfolio zip. Once that's all done, I'm going to click on export. Yeah, multiple export presets enable. All enabled presets will be applied to the selected photos. Yes, that's what I want it to do. So let's go ahead and hit OK. So now we'll let ON1 do its thing. I could have clicked run in background, But because this computer is already pretty slow, I'm just going to let it take the foreground and do what it needs to do, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so that took a very long time. I had to pull my phone out to, yeah, it took forever. It took much longer than I expected for, what is this, 14 photos. So just keep in mind that if you do run this, it may take a little bit of time, but let's go ahead and take a look at what we got here. So I'm in the JPEGs and the portfolio zip. So this should be the zip files there. I'm going to click on JPEGs and we'll click on DNGs, and let's see if, yep, there's some images in here. Looks like way more than 14 though. See if I can get the view, make them extra large icons. These are definitely DNGs just because I know how my computer treats things. Now, I don't know why they are duplicated, so I'm going to have to figure that piece out. But clearly, there are some DNGs in here, which is nice because previously we did not have the ability to produce DNGs. And then the last one that I'm going to do is JPEGs, and I want it to go to portfolio images. And there are my 14 portfolio images. Now, the last thing that I want to show you, because the export feature clearly worked, but the last thing that I want to show you is actually the favorites tab. So earlier you may have seen I had a folder here that says portfolio images. This is that exact same folder where I just exported all of those images from. And because I exported with the metadata, you can see that it moved them all to JPEGs, but it left the 2-star rating for all of them. So this is a really cool way for you to keep your profile images, or your portfolio images, if you will, ready to go at a moment's notice, and you can just get to them. And then you don't have to go digging through like I have done in the past. So maybe something worthwhile. So welcome back. We are out of the computer now. And you can see that inside of ON1 Photo RAW, there are a lot of really cool things. And I'm excited to see where this goes. Unfortunately, this system does not let me accurately test out the software just because it is a little lower in spec computer. It's really just used for traveling, being able to make edits. But when I get back to my home workstation, I'm really going to run ON1 Photo RAW through its paces and see if I can get it to produce the things that I expect it to produce. Now, if you found value in this video, please smash the like button. If you're new here, consider subscribing. My name is Chris. I produce content in this channel, or for this channel, on a consistent basis. And it's all centered around ON1 Photo RAW and photo editing. Last but not least, I want you guys to stay inspired and keep creating.